My name is Salman Hamid, and I'm Assistant Professor of Integrated Science and Humanities at Hampshire College.
I'm Kevin Anderson. I teach courses in film and anthropology at the University of Massachusetts, and this is Film Autopsy. Hello, and welcome to a micro-film autopsy of the film Footnote. What we're going to do here is we will be giving away some spoilers of this film, but what we want to do is look at some specific elements within the film Footnote that we feel are worthy of a kind of lengthier discussion in themselves. So we're not really reviewing the film, just taking little bits and pieces. So why don't you start this off?
So this movie is sort of like one of those jarring films because it's billed as an Israeli comedy, but the movie, when it goes long, actually, it is heavier. I mean, it has, especially the second half of the film, when it's very clear that there was going to be a tension between the father and son.
Yeah.
And the father, who has been given this award accidentally, they wanted to give the award to the son. And now the son is trying to figure out how to, and the committee is adamant. Son must take the award or no award.
Right.
But his father is the one who has been actually waiting for this award for all this time.
20 years.
So it becomes a bit darker because of the relationship between the father and son.
Yes.
So towards the end of the film, I was trying to figure out where this film was going. But right towards the end, there is the ceremony, award ceremony takes place in the Convention Center of Jerusalem. And I think it struck me, and maybe it should have struck me before, but of the element, like, wait a minute, in some sense, the whole movie might have been about the notion of the different generations of Israel, and of Jerusalem in particular, because it is questioning. It doesn't necessarily make a statement, because I think the movie stays ambiguous about that. Perhaps Jerusalem or Israel, I don't know, perhaps Jerusalem, because it's set deliberately in Jerusalem, it comes off. Is it about, like, is it because it's about a prize?
Yes.
Did they deserve it? Did the older generation deserve it? Yes, the next generation has it. They've been awarded it. But yeah.
Well, like with the father, in terms of that metaphor, like, in terms of fighting hard, like he for 20 years, he's been doing this scholarship and Talmudic studies and, digging very deep and, at the price of his family life to some extent. The kind of main dramatic conflict in the film is that when this Israeli prize for Talmudic studies is awarded, they contact the father instead of the younger scholar, and so there's this great sequence near the end of the film, and I thought this was fantastic. So they go through with it. The father doesn't, he is a scholar of Talmudic studies, so he ultimately does discover that he has been wrongfully awarded, that something, and he feels that his son may have interfered with this process to some extent. And so when they're at the lecture hall or whatnot, where they're going to do the award ceremony, great directorial choice. The woman who's kind of directing the award ceremony does a walkthrough with the father, and it's this faux performance of receiving an award and a faux performance of shaking hands and moving across the stage. I thought that was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Because does he deserve it? Yes, but he wasn't the actual one who was chosen. Right. So isn't it? It's a fake award that he's going to get.
But that's where the movie really becomes fascinating. I mean, again, the reward lies at the end, in some sense, because the way he discovered that his son, or he might have been accidentally given the award, because his son doesn't tell him.
No, he doesn't.
And that also goes back to the research methodology, because it was the word, the acceptance letter, which for various reasons was written by the son, used the word fortress.
Yeah.
And then fortress, he tries to figure out sort of like the different definitions of fortress and so on and so forth. And he's like, aha, his son must have done it. So again, that all coming together towards the end. We don't know if he accepts it or not.
Right.
But there is this element of security.
Security, where there's so many scenes, and they don't dwell on it, but so many scenes at the beginning of the scene or the end of the scene has this element of people going through some form of security, whether it's metal detectors or walking past dogs or surveillance and things like that. So there's no accident there that the word that tips the father off that, oh, maybe
fortress.
this that it's a farce has to do with security. And I think when you're talking about the city of Jerusalem, you have to bring in this.
I mean, it raises this question, right?
What's
I mean,
going on.
right in the beginning of the film, where his son is giving a speech, and he's receiving another award, and the father is there, and he's kind of out of place. He doesn't want to be there, and he just steps out, and he tries to go back in. And the security guard actually doesn't even recognize him, and doesn't. He said, "Are you even a member?"
אמרת שקוראים לך. אתה חבר באקדמיה הלאומית למדעים?
So there's always this sort of like inside-outside thing, and that you have to be a member, and everybody else. Then he notices that everybody else is wearing a wristband,
bright blue, like the Israeli flag,
and he's not. And so I think that element. So it was. Initially, it was sort of like, well, why do they keep on focusing on security guards, for example? So the movie is going on about this academic spat about Talmudic studies, who gets the award, but occasionally there was this weird sort of like asides where there would be a focus on a dog, security dog, or security guard on their guns.
Oh,
and the father would be, by the way, disturbed by that. He would be like, he was a little unsettled by that.
Yeah.
So that theme, so that's where, I mean, I was thinking sort of like the discussion is about.
He is also one of the few adult males in the film who goes around the film without wearing the yarmulke.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the adult males in the film go around with that, that bit of protection.
Right.
And he doesn't.
Right, and so this movie, in some sense, I mean, if we take this interpretation, then it becomes a really political film. So I mean, again, it's really comedy, but it's also really political. And the other element I thought was interesting were the female characters.
Yes.
Because in some sense, the only person who knows the full truth, even though this father or the guy's the younger the son's mother basically, she's not treated well. She's sort of like well left aside. She's not given attention, but the only person who knows both sides of how the son has acted, how the son has been doing, and what the father has been thinking, is the mother. And in some sense, it's the matrilineal, for example, the linkages and things like that. So I think this movie is very deliberately put into, because just like the way this Talmudic scholars work in putting all these things together.
And they're not, scholars of like Eastern European literature. No, I mean, there's no accident in terms of what they are studying in depth. So,
I think everything comes together very well towards the end, because all of those elements fall together for me. I just really liked the reward at the end, that it became serious and there was a reward. Although one thing I should mention, and which is one of the things I've been wondering about, and that was about the dancers. The drummers and the dancers. And I mean, what did you, because first of all, I mean, those rhythm dances, they were amazing. Like, I actually really liked the music.
But that was a very surreal and strange
but that's where it started going.
Film.
It started going in this surreal
getting back to this kind of maybe primal, tribal, I would say, aspect to the Israeli people. And I think for a micro autopsy, we're a little bit longer, but I mean, that's how rich this film is, Footnote.
I think once you start getting into it, because if you take those elements seriously, I mean, I think, and certainly the director didn't just put them, hey, it's kind of cool to put these drummers in. I think they are very specifically there, and those scenes, that's the reason why towards the end of the film, the gravitas of the film really increased, and I think it's a movie worth watching and enjoying and talking about it.
Yes, we talked about it twice.
Life.